Kojo climbed up a tree before allowing his amber and red eyes to scan over the snowy woodlands. The woodland was quite vast and opulent. The canopy was marked by pine, birch, and oak trees. Thick tree branches hung from several trees, and mishmash of grass and plant growth stood out. Luckily, the light from the sun was melting the snow in some areas, just enough to cultivate the sloping ground below. Now where could those bells be? He said to himself. His gold and red eyes scanned the area. There was a moment from the corner of his right eye, and Kojo glanced to see Otsu's pet owl, Shiro, sitting on a branch of a nearby tree watching him. I don't suppose you'll tell me where you hidden them? He chuckled towards the birds, as if Shiro could easily understand him. The owl only rotated its head as if telling him no, and making Kojo laugh softly. Fair enough, my fine feathered friend. It's only been 3 hours since the test began, and already Kojo hasn't made much progress in search for the bells. Sighing deeply, Kojo descended from the tree and gathered his bearings. He would be able to cover much ground at this rate, and he almost certainly didn't like the idea of staying out all night. And giving up was definitely not an option. Now let's see. If I were the bells in the woods, where would I hide them? He says to himself, holding his chin in deep thought. Obviously, his best idea would to be a tree. However, concerning how many trees there were, there's just too much to thicket. And he definitely wouldn't be able to find the bells by sunset if he were to search every single tree. Okay, let's think. He closed his eyes, pondering. What was it that Lady Otsu said again? He mumbled. Remember to stay calm, remain visual, and spot the obvious. Spot the obvious. I wonder what that could mean. The flame-haired male furrowed his brows in question. It was... Then he heard a hoo and averted his gaze toward Shiro. The owl's big, round, sun-yellow eyes glared down at him. Spot the obvious, Kojo repeated. Shiro was the one that hid the bells. Therefore, the bird definitely knew the answer. You constantly paced back and forth, your mind considering with worry. Rengoku's been in the woods for almost an hour now, and already your patience was wearing thin as you looked at the same bell he was looking for. You huffed, your eyes glaring towards the grove from time to time. Omitsu was seated beside you, with a book in her hand. She hadn't said anything to you since Rengoku went into the woods. He's got to be frustrated by now, you said. You shouldn't underestimate Rengoku-san so easily, Yin. Why do you wish for him to fail? The old woman spoke. You stood, your frantic panicking, and quickly glared at her. It's not that I want him to fail, Obi-chan. I just think this whole thing is pointless, you said. I mean, what's the point anyway? What if Kojo grows tired of me? What if he ends up abandoning me like all the others? You added. Abandon. That single word made your heart ache as so many emotions rocked through like a tsunami. All your instincts are slowly crashing down around you, though you stubbornly won't admit it. You'd actually wanted Rengoku to succeed. Indeed, the flame-haired boy had been a strange one when you'd met, but over the months of playing hard to get, you gradually devoted feelings for him. Was it he was flamboyant? Or possibly his cheery personality? You don't know. However, You've been let down so many times by various people in your life, even by your own family, whom you trusted all above others, that you remotely believed that no one would ever love you. No one would ever love the girl who people called the Snow Witch. Omitsu's brown eyes stared at you, as if sensing your inner turmoil. You overreact too much, Yin dear. You must have faith. She says it softly. I believe Rengoku-san is different. He is a splendid young man who, as I can tell, clearly loves you. But if you are unsure, then perhaps you should talk to him. After all, the only way to truly understand is through communication. She smiles. Love is a very complicated thing, just like sewing with a broken finger. She added, and you can help but give a soft laugh at her particular wise quotes. Though just known Omitsu almost her entire life, the wise woman was an amiga. But she was right. Maybe you should stop overreacting. Perhaps Rengoku truly was your so-called soulmate, and that you were just being dumb. Then what if he doesn't exceed by sundown? You asked softly, as you stared idly towards the woods. Well, there's always tomorrow. I did say that this was a test to test his resolve, to see whether he'll give up or not. But I have faith that he'll succeed, Omitsu explained. And besides, don't you think it's about time you stop being lonely and find happiness? She asked. You blushed, nodding. I got it! Kojiro exclaimed excitedly, causing Shiro to become startled by the sudden outburst. He had an idea as he glanced at Shiro, who was still perched in a tree. Shiro is an owl, which means owls often hide out in trees, hollows, or burrows. Kojiro inwardly thought, and his red and amber eyes glanced at Shiro. Now the real question is where? Kojiro pondered. He then recalled Omitsu telling him something else. Shiro never strays far from the temple, so you have until sundown. And with that, the flame pillar ran back to the temple, with Shiro following after him.